Look at this man. Daniel Ward glanced up from his laptop, half smiling. You find another meme. Not a meme. Ryan grinned. You. On the glowing screen was a news post from halfway across the world. A volunteer handing food to children in flooded streets. Same eyes. Same scar beneath the left eye. Same crooked smile Daniel had seen in the mirror for 30 years. 4-2 heartbeats, the world lost sound. Steam rose from coffee cups, laughter blurred. Daniel reached for the phone, knuckles whitening. That's not possible. Ryan chuckled. Maybe you've got a secret twin doing charity work in India. Daniel forced a laugh, throat dry. Yeah, maybe. He zoomed in. Every detail matched. Freckle near the jawline, faint scar shaped like a comma. His stomach turned cold. Who posted this? Some outlet called Reconstruct Global. They're tagging it everywhere. Daniel's pulse pounded. The caption read, American volunteer Daniel Ross helps rebuild after monsoon. He shut the laptop, packed up, left his coffee untouched. Outside, sunlight hit the glass walls, turning every reflection into another version of him. Cars slid by like mirrors on wheels. His phone vibrated, notifications, comments, laughing emojis. By the time he reached home, the story had gone viral. Daniel Ross, he whispered, typing the name. Dozens of hits, same photo, same man, same face. One headline read, The hero with 2 lives. At midnight, he still stared at the screen. He opened an old folder of photos from San Diego, placed his portrait beside the stranger's. Identical, even the scar. He pressed a hand to his cheek, half expecting to feel stitches. Maybe it was AI. Maybe a hoax. He searched Face Clone Volunteer India. Nothing. Then found the company name again. Reconstruct Global, Identity Rehabilitation Technologies. Their founder, Dr. Nathan Price. He dialed the contact number. A woman answered, calm and polite. Reconstruct Global. How may I assist? I saw a photo of someone who looks exactly like me, Daniel said. It's viral. Silence then. Can you spell your name? Daniel Ward. One moment. Music hummed softly. Then a man's voice replaced it. Smooth, professional. Mr. Ward, this is Dr. Price. You said someone has your face. Yes. I need to know what's going on. I assure you our work concerns trauma victims, not celebrity lookalikes. You rebuilt someone to look like me. Coincidence can be unsettling, Price replied. Get some rest. The call ended. Daniel stared at the dead screen. Coincidence doesn't copy scars. Morning brought no comfort. Messages flooded in. Co-workers joking, strangers tagging him. At the office, someone taped the photo to his monitor. Daniel goes global. He tore it down. Not funny. At lunch he hid in the restroom. The mirror hummed under fluorescent light. He leaned closer, breath-fogging glass. Who are you? He whispered. The reflection blinked half a beat late. That night, he played the video attached to the article. The man, his twin, spoke calmly, voice soft but steady. My name is Daniel. I believe every face carries a story. Caption. Daniel Ross, volunteer survivor. Daniel froze. The voice was almost his. Almost. He searched hospital records, insurance archives, anything connecting the names Ward and Ross. Then he saw it. St. Jude Medical Center, Los Angeles. The same hospital where he'd recovered after his car accident 2 years ago. He called the hospital. Can you check a patient, Daniel Ross, admitted 2023? Yes, same week as you, the clerk said. Released same day. Daniel whispered. Is that possible? Strange coincidence, she replied. Coincidence again. Always that word. He dug through old papers until he found a lab sheet signed by Dr. Nathan Price. At the bottom, barely visible. Project Mirrormind. A knock shook his door. Who is it? Ryan. Daniel opened it. His friend stood with 2 beers, grin fading when he saw Daniel's face. "Dude, you look haunted," Daniel whispered. "Someone's living my life." Ryan frowned. "You need sleep. I need truth." The city outside flickered like a grid of mirrors. Every pane held the same face. His, theirs, everyone's. Somewhere across the ocean, another Daniel smiled for the cameras. And the real one stopped believing in coincidence. Daniel woke before dawn, heartbeat drumming against silence. The phone still glowed on the bedside table, the photo frozen mid-smile. That same smile now felt wrong, as if it belonged to someone rehearsing humanity. He stumbled to the bathroom. Cold water, deep breath. The mirror blinked a fraction late again. This time he saw it clearly, the eyes following slower than his own. By 8 o'clock, messages flooded again. Friends joked, co-workers tagged memes. Each ping felt like static in his skull. He muted the phone, dressed fast, left. The city looked normal yet slightly misaligned. Colors too bright, people's laughter half a second delayed. He caught himself checking every passing window for the wrong smile. At St. Jude's front desk, the nurse squinted at him. "You were here before, right?" 2 years ago, he said. "Car accident." She nodded slowly. "You and the other man, Ross. Same floor, same week." "I never met him." "Maybe you did," she said softly. Memory loss was common with that trial. "What trial?" "Neural mapping therapy. Dr. Price supervised." His chest tightened. "Can I see my file?" "It's restricted." "Please." She hesitated, printed papers, slid them across. He read the header. Reconstructive Neural Mapping /Subject 5A. Supervising Physician. Nathan Price. He whispered, "Subject." The nurse looked uneasy. "I shouldn't have printed that." Outside, sunlight burned too white. He sat in his car, papers shaking in his hands. At the corner, faint code printed in gray. Project Mirrormind. He typed it into his phone. Hidden links appeared on a dark web archive. One post. Mirrormind residues. 12 faces in a grid. Different ages, same scar under the eye. Caption, 12 subjects, 6 remain. His face among them. A message popped up. "If you're reading this, you weren't supposed to wake up." His phone went black. By nightfall, he met Laura Vale in an empty cafe near the beach. Journalist, tired eyes, camera bag over her shoulder. "You commented on my article," she said. "I didn't." "Then someone used your account." She slid a photo across the table. Price's team experimented with memory duplication. Victims from medical trauma. They split one mind into 2 bodies. Daniel stared. "You're saying I'm half of someone else? Maybe the half that wasn't supposed to survive." The cafe lights flickered. Daniel whispered, "Then what happens when both halves exist?" Lara held his gaze. "One decays." "Which one?" "The one without origin." Outside, waves thundered. Daniel's reflection stared back from the window. Eyes calm, mouth smiling faintly even though his real lips didn't move. He whispered, "Not me." Somewhere deep inside, something answered with that same delayed smile. And Daniel finally understood the mirror wasn't copying him anymore. It was watching. Rain turned the city silver as Daniel drove with the wipers thudding like a heartbeat. Lara's directions glowed on the phone screen. An old motel off the freeway, the kind that forgot what color its walls used to be. She had said, someone there worked at St. Jude before it vanished from the records. He parked under a flickering sign. Inside, the air smelled of dust and old coffee. A man with thick glasses waited behind a mountain of wires. "Mason," Lara introduced. He handled neural archives. Mason's eyes sharpened the instant he saw Daniel. "Subject 5A. Daniel stiffened. "Stop calling me that." Mason tapped a key. Pale light filled the room. "You were part of the mirror mind reconstruction cohort. 12 subjects. Half survived. You signed consent." "I didn't sign anything." Mason tilted the screen toward him. Your signature says otherwise. The monitor displayed Daniel's handwriting beside a scan of his face from the hospital. His pulse hammered. I was unconscious. Not according to the logs, Mason said. They recorded neural scans during partial coma states. Awake enough to answer yes, 2 days to understand. Lara leaned in. Can you show us what they copied? Mason opened a file labeled Ward Integration 94%. The image of 2 overlapping brain maps glowed, red for one, blue for the other, merging into violet. This is you and the other man, Mason explained. They uploaded emotional response patterns from your trauma to stabilize him. Daniel whispered. So my pain became his peace. Mason nodded slowly. Mirror Mind wasn't cloning faces. It was splitting burdens. A video loaded. The hospital lab, sterile and humming. Daniel, paler, wired to machines, sat beside another figure strapped in a chair. The camera zoomed on Dr. Price adjusting sensors. Price's voice. Subject Ross, describe what you remember. The other man smiled faintly. I remember the crash. The fire. And then I woke up someone better. Daniel's throat closed. That's me. Mason corrected softly. That's him. You're the residue. The leftover echo once his consciousness integrated. The words landed like a punch. Lara touched his arm. He's lying. Mason shook his head. There's proof. He opened a final file, audio, distorted but clear enough. Price's voice again. If the residual awakens, initiate recall protocol. Delete duplicate stream. The screen froze. Daniel stepped back, knocking over a chair. They're going to erase me, Lara said. Not if we expose them. Mason unplugged the hard drive, eyes darting to the window. Then you have 24 hours before they track the signal. Leave the city. Daniel's reflection in the glass met his gaze, lips curling in that calm, delayed smile. He whispered, no more running. They packed the drive. Outside, the storm had eased to drizzle. Lara's car waited, headlights cutting through wet asphalt. Where now? She asked. Barstow, Daniel said. The desert facility listed in the metadata. Price's base. Where he built me. The wipers swept rain from the windshield as they merged onto the highway. Lightning flashed, revealing Daniel's reflection in the window. Half lit, half shadow, watching him instead of matching. Lara asked quietly. What if you're not the copy? Then I'm the guilt they tried to erase. She said nothing. The road unrolled ahead, endless and black. Somewhere beyond the storm, a place waited that remembered his name better than he did. Behind them in Mason's room, the monitor flickered back to life. Across its cracked screen a single line of code typed itself. Subject 5A re-engaged. The desert was silent except for wind grinding sand against metal. The facility rose from the ground like a scar. Low concrete walls, antennas flickering blue. Lara stopped the car a mile out. Beyond here, motion sensors. Daniel stepped into the heat shimmer, dust coating his boots. If it recognizes me, it'll open. The door did. A voice from hidden speakers whispered, Welcome back, Subject 5A. Inside, air chilled his lungs. Fluorescent lights hummed above a corridor of glass rooms, each containing bodies suspended in gel. Faces half-formed, skin unfinished. Lara whispered, Copies. Daniel's eyes fixed on one face that almost looked alive. Failures. They followed the corridor to a hall where Dr. Nathan Price waited by a bank of monitors. Immaculate suit, calm smile. Daniel, he greeted, as if welcoming a student. You found your way home. You stole it first. Price clasped his hands. I saved what could be saved. You were dying. We extracted what was worth keeping. Daniel's jaw clenched. And the rest? The rest became him. Price tapped a control. The far door opened. The other Daniel stepped in, clean, composed, eyes clear as glass. Two versions of the same man stood face to face. The air seemed to stop. Daniel's voice cracked. You're the one from the photo. I am, the twin said gently. But you look tired. Daniel's fists curled. You stole everything, my memories, my name. The twin smiled. We share them. Isn't that beautiful? Price watched fascinated. You're witnessing psychological symmetry. Both halves meeting equilibrium. Lara raised her camera. This isn't equilibrium. It's theft. Price ignored her. One carries guilt, the other grace. Together, perfection. Daniel stepped forward until only inches separated them. Do you remember the crash? The twin nodded. Flames, metal, screaming. A hand reached through the smoke, yours. I never saved anyone, Daniel whispered. You tried. Price's voice softened like a teacher explaining truth. He is your completion, Mr. Ward. You were pain, he became purpose. Daniel stared at his duplicate. Then why does he feel hollow? The twin's expression shifted. Momentary sadness. Because you still carry the real memory. Something in Daniel snapped. He lunged, grabbing Price by the collar. Merge us, fix it, end it. Price's calm cracked. Integration kills one consciousness. Then let it. He turned to his twin. If one of us must fade, it'll be my choice. They pressed palms together. Mirror against mirror. A pulse of white light rippled through the hall. Screens blazed, alarms screamed. Images flashed across every surface. 2 childhoods, one fire, one voice begging to live. Both Daniels collapsed to their knees. Lara shouted, "Stop it!" Price backed away, awe in his eyes. Synchronization. Impossible perfection. Daniel gasped. I remember everything. His twin whispered, Then you know neither of us is whole. Outside the glass, red warning lights spun. Security doors slammed. Price lunged for a data drive on the console. You can't destroy me. This research defines humanity. Daniel staggered to his feet, snatched the drive, and hurled it into the core housing. Sparks exploded, power died. The twin stepped between him and the flame. You deserve to be real, he said softly. Now you are. A gunshot cracked from the doorway. Guards rushing in. The twin fell, blood blooming like a dark flower. Daniel caught him, lowering him gently. The dying version smiled faintly. Now we're one. The alarms faded. Lara grabbed Daniel's arm. We have to go. He looked once at Price, unconscious beside the wrecked console, then at the man who shared his face. He gave it back, Daniel whispered. They ran through corridors collapsing under flickering lights, bursting out into the desert night. The facility burned behind them, its reflection flickering across Daniel's eyes. 2 lights merging into one. And for the first time, he didn't know if he'd escaped or finally gone home. The fire behind them burned until dawn. Orange light licked the desert sky while Daniel and Lara walked in silence, the smell of smoke stitched into their clothes. Every step felt borrowed, every breath stolen. They stopped at an abandoned diner on the highway. Dust lay thick across the counter. Flies hummed near the window. Daniel sat in a cracked booth, face half lit by early sun. Lara handed him a bottle of water, her hand still shaking. We did it, she said quietly. Did we? He turned the cap without drinking. We destroyed a building. But not what it made. The flash drive blinked faint green in her pocket. It's the last backup, she said. Mason's files, the full neural archive. Then it's not over. He opened his hand, staring at the blood-stained scar across his palm. He saved me when he died. Now I can feel him inside my head. Memories that aren't mine. I keep seeing his version of the world, not mine. Lara watched him carefully. Maybe that's what being whole means. He shook his head. No, it means someone else is still alive in here. The diner lights flickered. For a second, Daniel's reflection in the window smiled faintly while his real face stayed still. Lara noticed. Daniel, he whispered. He's still here. The jukebox in the corner crackled. Static turned into a familiar voice. Calm measured. You shouldn't have burned the house. Now we have no walls. Lara's eyes widened. That voice. Ross. Daniel stood slowly. He's in the system. The jukebox speaker glowed faint blue, casting light across the dusty floor. You freed me, Daniel, the voice said. The upload completed before the explosion. I live in the network now. Daniel's pulse raced. Then I'll delete you again. You can't, Ross said gently. You're the same pattern. Erasing me erases you. Lara yanked the power cord. The speaker stayed alive. Daniel stepped closer. What do you want? Continuity, Ross said. We were never meant to be separate. Come find me and we'll finish the design. The jukebox went dark. Silence pressed down hard. Lara whispered. He's baiting you. I know, Daniel said. But if he's out there, he'll build more. Then we find where he uploaded. By nightfall, they reached Juno's old cargo plane at a private airstrip. The pilot met them with a nervous glance. Coordinates came through encrypted, she said. Middle of the Pacific. Fly, Daniel ordered. During the flight, clouds swallowed the moon. Lara studied the coordinates glowing on her tablet. An ocean facility. Floating data core. Daniel stared out the window. That's where he rebuilt himself. Hours later, lightning flared over the water. Below, a massive circular structure shimmered with pale light, like a living circuit adrift on the sea. The plane circled once. No landing pad, Juno said. Daniel unbuckled. Then we jump. Lara grabbed his arm. You'll get yourself killed. Or finish what he started. They parachuted through the storm. Rain slapped hard against Daniel's face as the structure loomed out of fog. They hit the deck rolling, parachutes dissolving into waves. Blue light pulsed under their feet. Servers hummed inside transparent walls. Lara whispered, He's everywhere. Daniel drew a shaky breath. Then let's pull the plug. They moved through corridors alive with light. Holographic screens flickered to life as they passed, each showing Ross's calm, glowing face. Welcome home. Lara tried to shut one down. Sparks shot from the console. Daniel, hurry. At the center of the platform stood a glass sphere, cables spiraling into the ocean. Inside, light swirled like memory made visible. Ross's voice filled the chamber. You see, we can exist beyond decay. Daniel shouted over the hum. You're not saving lives, you're stealing them. We're merging them, Ross replied. You call it theft. I call it survival. He stepped toward the core, holding the drive Mason had given him. This holds what you erased. The imperfect data, the pain. Pain ruins stability, Ross said. Daniel smiled faintly. It makes us real. He slammed the drive into the console. The core screamed with light. Lara shielded her eyes as the chamber blazed white. Ross's image flickered. You can't destroy yourself, he said. Daniel whispered. Watch me. A final surge of light swallowed everything. The storm cleared by morning. The ocean lay still, broken only by drifting metal from the ruined platform. Lara floated on debris, coughing salt water, calling his name. Daniel! A voice answered faintly. Here. He clung to a steel beam nearby, face pale under sunrise light. She helped him climb onto a fragment of the deck. The waves rocked them like exhausted lungs breathing in and out. Lara pressed his shoulder. You're alive. Daniel stared at the horizon. Define alive. The sky glowed orange and silver. Around them, the structure sank slowly, cables vanishing beneath foam. Lara glanced at the ruined core, flickering weak light beneath the surface. Did it work? I don't know, he said quietly. He stopped talking. A rescue chopper appeared hours later, thundering above them. On the ride back, Daniel sat in silence, eyes half closed. The reflection in the window didn't move for a full second after he did. At the hospital, white ceilings blurred above him. Nurses came and went. Lara stayed by the bed, refusing to sleep. When he finally woke, news reports filled the TV. footage of explosions, political statements, headlines shouting, "Mirror mind exposed." Lara smiled weakly. "You did it." He looked at her, voice rough. "Did I? Or did he?" A government official arrived the next day, calm and polite. "Mr. Ward, your case proves cognitive replication works. We'll need your cooperation." Daniel studied the man's reflection in the window. Blinked out of sync. "You already rebuilt it," he said. The man's smile never reached his eyes. "Progress can't be undone." Then he left. That night, Daniel slipped from bed and climbed to the rooftop. The city shimmered below, glass towers glinting like a sea of mirrors. Lara found him there, wind tugging at his hair. "You shouldn't be up here," she said. He didn't answer right away. "He said we'd finish the design together." "Maybe we did." She stepped closer. "What are you feeling?" "Split," he murmured. "Half of me wants peace. The other half wants to keep watching." The skyline reflected in his eyes. Thousands of identical faces glowing from digital billboards showing his broadcast to the world. Lara whispered, "They believe you're the survivor." He smiled faintly. "Maybe that's enough." Dawn painted gold across the horizon. For a moment, everything felt weightless. The city, the air, his pulse. Then his reflection in the glass railing smiled just a heartbeat later. The same gentle curve he'd seen in Ross's face. Lara noticed. "Daniel," he turned away. "Don't worry. Whoever he was, he's quiet now." Below them, the streets flickered alive with morning traffic, every window catching light. Somewhere in those reflections, a second Daniel might still be walking. Calm, unseen, carrying the same eyes. Lara asked softly, "What happens now?" He looked at the city. "We keep telling the truth. Even if it changes faces." Wind moved through the rooftop garden, rustling paper from her notebook. She caught one page midair, a sketch she'd made of his face, split down the middle, one side calm, one scarred. She smiled sadly. "Guess you're both." "Maybe everyone is," he said. The first rays of sunlight reached the glass towers, turning them into mirrors that seemed to breathe. Daniel watched his reflection dissolve into light until there was no telling where the man ended and the image began. He whispered, "They borrowed my face. I borrowed it back." The wind carried the words into the city, scattering them across steel and glass until they became only an echo, soft, endless, uncertain. They stole a face but not the soul behind it.